Day on June 12th, although not just today, came about a few years ago, 2 years ago, thereabout. Until June 6th, 2018, Democracy Day was held annually on May 29th. Democracy Day marks the day the military handed over power to an elected civilian government in 1999, marking the beginning of the longest continuous civilian rule since Nigeria's independence. Nigeria's Democracy Day is to commemorate the restoration of democracy in the federal government, in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On June 6th, 2018, 8 days after the May 29th date had been celebrated, President Muhammad Buhari declared June 12th to be the new Democracy Day. This was done to commemorate the democratic election of Chief MKO Abiola on June 12, 1993, in what has been adjudged to be Nigeria's freest and fairest election. It will be recalled that General Ibrahim Babangida, the then military president, had interrupted the release of election results of the June 12 election, and that happened on June 23rd, 1993, when he announced the annulment of that election. And a lot of things happened after that in quick successions. A lot of Nigerians rose against the military. Expectedly, there were casualties. And as we talk about June 12th today, as we remember that election, there were heroes of that struggle. And there were others also who paid the supreme price. It's not possible to list everyone who played a part in the June 12th struggle. But we will attempt to take a look at that struggle. Not just the June 12 election, but that period between that time and 1999, when democracy, or some would say civilian rule, was finally restored. A lot of things happened. And I have my guest, Jide Ojo, a media analyst and development expert. What a befitting person to talk about this because of his experience too over this period. Welcome to Insight, Jide.
It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Nigerians. Happy Democracy Day.
Jide, it will be virtually almost impossible to talk about the period under discussion without remembering or making an attempt to remember some of the heroes of June 12 and the martyrs of June 12, people who paid the supreme price. We are talking about people like Chief Adekunle Ajasin, Chief Abraham Adesanya of the Nadeko days, Chief Anthony Enaro, and we can't forget Chief Gani Fayemi. We can't also forget the roles of Professor Wole Soyinka, Chief Olisa Bakoba, Ayobe, Femi Falana, Frank Kokori, Rear Admiral Ndubisi Kano, Dr. Beko Ransom Kuti, Colonel Tanko Umar, Balarebe Musa, Chief Ayo Adebanjo, Ayo Padokun, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and thousands of other activists and students and other Nigerians who were on the frontier during this period. And we can also not forget the sacrifices of people like Alhaji Kudirat Abiola, who was gunned down on the streets of Lagos on the 4th of June, 1996. We cannot forget the sacrifice of people like Chief Alfred Rewani, who was a financier of the Nadeko struggle of those days, when he was murdered inside his home in Ikeja, Lagos of those days. There are so many of them, but let's start it this way, Jide. On June 12, 1993, that fateful Saturday morning, where were you?
Well, I think I was in school, like you.
Yeah.
We were in University of Lagos when that event happened. I'm not sure whether I voted. Being students, we were on campus studying, but we followed through the activities on fortunately or unfortunately, there was no social media.
Exactly.
So we were listening to radio and watching TV and following developments in the conventional media. To see what's happening. So, and we caught a new vocabulary in our dictionary then, option A4. Option A4 proposed by Professor Humphrey Nwosu, who is also another hero of that democracy. Because if it was not resolute, that election would now have failed, given the circumstances and the role played by people like the late, Chief Otto Nzeribe, Abimbola Davis. Those are the people in the Hall of Infamy. Even Justice Basi Ikpeme, those who are giving, nocturnal judgment, nocturnal ruling, stopping the election from being held. We, you and I, you remember, we were on campus studying at University of Lagos about following through the developments in the media.
Yeah, it's very important to try to do a recollection, refresh our memories, because when we say June 12th, people just think it was a date. After the election, when the election was annulled, June 23, a lot of things happened that period, between that time and 1999, when President Olusegun Obasanjo finally took over the reins of leadership of this country. A lot of things happened, and maybe when we throw the phone lines open, we would want people to call in. Let's know what's happened. What were you doing that period? If you were too young then, what did you read about it?
If you're not born, a millennial.
Yes. If you were not born then, what did you read about it? What is when they say June 12th, what do you think about it? It was a period of history that we would not forget in a hurry. Just like Jide said, we were on the campus. I was on campus that day too, and just like students and activists, we were patriots. We had this thing about how Nigeria would move forward.
Hope 93.
Hope 93. And especially after the annulment, the mood on campus was something else.
Recall we went on the barricades at Yaba. Then we moved to Ikorodu Road.
Yes.
Trying to protest.
The convoy of
students, marching from University of Lagos students, Federal College of Education, Akoka, the Yaba College of Technology, all of us converging on Ikorodu Road, marching with civil society, labor. Labor House was in Yaba.
Exactly.
So it was very easy for us to join forces with the labor unions, and then the market men and women who are selling Yaba markets also joined the fray. It reminds me of what we did as students the day we defeated Argentina and Brazil to win the 1996 Olympic gold medal, Olympic football gold medal. When I didn't know how I found myself in in celebration. Dead of night, we just trooped to the streets, in jubilation of how we conquered the world, and I recall the chief of staff, the Supreme Headquarters, then the second in command to Abacha, General Dia, saying that gold medal Nigeria won is the mother of all gold. Is the mother of all gold. So the way we celebrated the 1996 Olympic football gold of Nigerian Super Eagles was the way we also demonstrated 3 years earlier when the issues of June 12 arose and the military decided. First, there was we were in a state of suspended animation for some 10-11 days before the final annulment, and then of course mass protest many lives lost, people disappear. And one thing, Lawrence, we must not forget is the heroic exploits of Nigerian media then.
Exactly.
The media played very critical role. Media, civil society, and labor. They were the three prong, followed by the students' movement. That was when NANS was still very strong.
Exactly.
That was when student union on campuses were very strong. They've not been infiltrated and politicized the way they are now, where they use that position to feather their own nest and selling out to the government. But that time, you recall that even before the NANS leadership will call, students are already. Our body is already hot for a looter,
exactly.
Over the issue of no, we will not take this and all of that. But it's a very good thing, 29 years after, to recollect with fond memories.
Exactly.
And we pray for the repose of the soul of those who lost their lives in that struggle. It was a movement, it was a struggle that I think as students of politics we need to have somebody doing a thesis, a doctorate thesis on the June 12th, the importance of June 12th in the life of this country. Because one person that has also brought the memory of June 12th to the fore is President Muhammadu Buhari. Mm-hmm. What he did in 2018, you see, he was able to break into the heart of the Yoruba nation by recognizing not only Abiola as a former president, awarding him a posthumous Grand Commander of the Federal Republic, and also shifting our Democracy Day from May 29 to June 12. He did that in 2018, and that was a master stroke.
Exactly.
It was a master stroke by whoever advised the president to show that he loves the Yoruba nation, he believes in the history of Yoruba nation, and he accorded the due respect to the memory of the symbol of that June 12, 1993 presidential election, Bashir MKO Abiola.
And Jide, that was a practical display of justice. When we say let justice be done, that was a practical display. And Jide, I also like the fact that you also brought to fore the roles played by these different sectors, especially the media, because I remember also then that it was a Herculean task as a journalist to even cover activities of the protesters. It is not now that when
you can tweet,
you can sit in the conference of your room and
can
tweet.
Do Instagram.
Exactly.
Post and
those days, as a journalist, and you go out, you never know whether you will come back with all your body parts.
No. You remember, people paid price.
Exactly.
Bagada Kato in Kaduna never made it. There were a number of also people who mysteriously disappeared. And never.
careful, you were labeled a sympathizer of Nadeko.
You are gone.
You're gone.
You are gone.
Nigerian state should even have a documentary detailing those sad times, so that for generations. It was very brief and 24 paragraphs, and wasn't very detailed. I think he hammered on two things I picked from his speech. One is, June 12, the significance of June 12, but more importantly, talking about elections, appraising the just concluded party primaries, which he believed, in his own opinion, that were issue-based. I disagree with him that the just concluded primaries were issue-based. But I agree with him that they were peaceful, that we didn't record deaths and the way, it used to be in the past. But we have a primary that was dominated by cash for votes, the issue of obscene monetization of Nigeria's electoral process. And I think that should have warranted some comment from the president. He was mute on that issue of cash for vote and the fact that we didn't, the president said in 2014, 25.7 million that APC put as presidential nomination form. He couldn't raise it. He has to go and take bank loan to be able to afford it at that time. Now your party is selling nomination form for 100 million, and you didn't see anything wrong in, even if it's to condemn that, is worried about due monetization of the electoral process. He was silent on that. But he did talk about the electoral reform which he has initiated. He made a commitment to free, fair, and credible election, which I agree with him that he needs to do. He believes that he will leave a legacy of credible election. And on the other side, he did appraise us of
the concern he has about the issue of insecurity, and gave its own. It gave us an update on one, the increased arsenal that they have been able to procure, then the recruitment of more personnel to help in the fight against insecurity, and he actually asked Nigerians to support him in the fight against insecurity, believing that security issues is everybody's issue. But he crowned that with the fact that he's also doing so much about cybersecurity and the surveillance of the Nigerian space, saying that they are upgrading the cybersecurity architecture, and so he is giving us assurances that in the not too distant future we will see the significant improvement in the security situation. But much as I will score him high on what he has been able to say, I think there are too many things he left out unsaid. Issue of governance, issue of the energy crisis. I don't know about you. Up to today, since January, Abuja is still having fuel queues, and that is intolerable, given the fact that 4 trillion is the highest ever in the history of this country. 4 trillion earmarked for fuel subsidy. If there is fuel subsidy, why are we still queuing for fuel? The fuel that I use in running my car now, I procure it from the black market at 300 naira per liter.
You're not alone.
You understand? So that is intolerable. I think the president at least moves around. Even if he doesn't move around in Abuja, he must have people telling him, he must be reading newspapers to know that the fuel queues have never disappeared completely from Abuja and the environment. I was in Bauchi about a couple of weeks ago. The same thing is happening in Bauchi State. People are queuing for fuel. So I think it should have warranted the mention. How could you vote 4 trillion for fuel subsidy and yet people still have to queue for fuel? Then what about the issue of electricity? You condemned the previous administration of PDP of spending $16 billion, and there is much darkness. Today we are talking of, in this year alone, there have been 5 collapse of national grid. 5. And when Fashola was even Minister of Power, he brought the whole thing to like 5,000 megawatts of electricity. Now, even when, I don't know when last they generated up to 5,000 megawatts of electricity, but there is still a huge challenge of transmission from GenCos, the generating companies, to the discos. So you still have very weak transmission lines, and a lot of resources have been voted. Of course, you remember on September 1, 2021, he did remove the Minister of Power for non-performance, I believe. And the person that he has replaced it with has not been able to find a panacea to that challenge of energy. And how do you want to resolve the problem of unemployment and poverty when you cannot resolve the energy crisis? Energy crisis there, I'm talking of petroleum products, as well as the electricity, because they are interwoven. If you want to solve the problem of insecurity, if you want to solve the problem of poverty, if you want to solve the problem of unemployment, you need to fix that. It's very critical, because look at the cost of doing business. Now, under this administration, a liter of diesel is selling for close to 800 naira per liter. From 200, 300 naira per liter to 800. Now a loaf of bread, and that is it. Commodity prices has gone up so much that every day, if you buy this thing for 5 naira yesterday, go there today, you may find it at 7 naira. A week after, it may be 10 naira. So this does not. This is giving one a lot of worries. And you cannot just single out elections and security and feel that you have addressed all the critical issues. People want to know what is happening to food security, what is happening to energy, what is happening to anti-corruption. You came to power on the mantra of anti-corruption. Today, Nigeria's ranking on corruption perception index is very, very unfortunate, because we are, I think we rank 146 in the latest CPI by Transparency International out of 180 countries. So is that something to cheer, for a government that claims to be a government of change? So you look at the debt portfolio of Nigeria, look at the cost of doing business. You set up, I don't know, this station is running on diesel as we speak. Absolutely. Look at the cost of services, and look at even how many workers have dropped out of the employment market because of high cost of doing business. So then where the infrastructure, the road networks, what is the state of many of Nigerian roads? Very deplorable. The rail line, we saw what happened with Abuja Kaduna rail line. We saw what happened with even the airport in Kaduna that was invaded. Insecurity is also impacting negatively on the infrastructure. So many things that but I must also hasten to say the problem is not that of federal government alone, and it was never created by Buhari. He inherited it, but things have snowballed and got worsened under his leadership. I pity whoever will take over from Buhari next year, because uneasy lies there that wears the crown.
Okay, yeah, if you're just joining us, this is Insight, and I have in the studio Jide Ojo, a media analyst, development expert, and we are X-raying Democracy Day. We are also looking at our experience as a nation. We also look at the 6 years that happened to us as a nation after the annulment of June 12, 1993 presidential election. Don't go away. Insight will return in a moment.
Hello, Abuja. You are listening to 93.7 Citizen FM, the latest radio station based in Nigeria's capital. Our station seeks to broadcast a broad mix of culture and views, with priority given to development programming to enable residents share ideas and opinions, music and drama. At Citizen FM, we believe in progressive talk and solution-driven conversation. Our aim is to build a united Nigeria by bringing people of diverse culture together through communication. Enjoy listening to 93.7 Citizen FM. We are more than just a radio station. We are a part of your life.
Thank you for staying tuned. It's Citizen FM 93.7. My name is Lawrence Umoite, and you are on to Insight on the station. I have Jide Ojo in the studio, and we've been looking at Democracy Day, June 12, experiences of Nigerians, experience of the country between 1993 and 1999, and everything concerning democracy. You can be part of this program by joining us on 0903 222-9797. That's 0903 222-9797. Or you can call us on 0808 222-037. 0808 222-037. Or you can call us on 0813 222-22205. That's 0813 222-22205. Or you can also join us on YouTube on our live streaming platform on YouTube. You can type in Insight and you will be part of this program immediately. So let's hear your thoughts. You can send us WhatsApp message on any of the numbers. Let's hear your thoughts. What do you think about the sacrifices of those who were on the frontiers after the annulment of June 12? And what are your expectations? Any lessons learned during this period? What do you think about it? So many things to talk about June 12. So, Jide, let's look at the nitty-gritty of the whole thing, our democracy. It's supposed to be a democracy day. Now, let's look at our evolution our evolution of our democratic experience, at least from 1999. How has the journey been so far?
Topsy-turvy. Topsy-turvy has been checkered, the ups and downs. We are preparing for the 7th general elections now. We've had one in 1999, which is a transitional election from military to civil rule. Then 2003, 2007, 2011, 2015, and 2019. Now we are preparing for 2023. And my own take on our electoral democracy in the last 23 years is that while we are not where we used to be, we are not where we ought to be. I did a math. My research shows that we have 11,082 electoral offices, elected offices. So you have the 1 president, 36 governors, 109 senators, 360 House of Reps members, 993 state House of Assembly members, state Houses of Assembly members. Then you have the 8,809 councillors, 768 local government chairperson, and 6 area council chairperson. If you sum all of them together, it gives you 11,082. Now, these people, how have they steered the ship of this country? You find out that even the federal government, as uncharitable as we may want to be, talking about the performance of federal government, they've done better than many states. The states are absolutely being governed by imperials. The people of the states dare not say a word. There's still no freedom of speech. In many states, you can't go on state media to criticize the governor without you having a dialogue with the security agencies after. And many of the state budgets are not even available online. You can't access them. You can't review. Even only one copy is given to the Speaker of the State House of Assembly, and they want it returned the way the governor has packaged it. Don't move anything. And that's why you see a governor will present budget today, and the week after they say the state has passed the budget, because there is practically nothing to you. If you are a speaker and you remove just 1 kobo, you're out of office. They will just find you just see members, waging war against you and saying that you are accused of gross misconduct. Gross misconduct can be anything, and then you are a goner. So for those who want to keep their job and their goody, they don't want to offend the emperors of the state. And you saw what happened even with the primaries, that the governors were in charge of the delegates, and wherever they swing to is where the delegates also swing to. So at the subnational level, because I think it's very uncharitable of many Nigerians castigating Buhari. There is what is called vertical and horizontal system of governance in Nigeria. At the vertical level, you have 3 tiers of government: federal, state, and local. And then horizontally, you have the judiciary, the legislature, and the executive. These 3, vertically and horizontally, must work collaboratively for there to be dividends of democracy. So situations where you see, as we have seen in the states, even with the amendment of the relevant section of the Constitution, the governors have stoutly resisted financial autonomy for state legislature and state judiciary. So
and even the local government.
And the local government has remained in their pockets. So you can see why we are not seeing thriving good governance at the state level, because the governors have appropriated and they are fully in charge of who gets what at the state level, who becomes anybody that's somebody in the states at the time. And that's why I find it a bit offensive when the president in his speech the upper Tuesday was saying that the party APC gives the governors the right to choose their successor. I don't know whether you read it as part of his speech. The right to choose their successor.
That was before the
APC convention. That then they should also be accorded that opportunity for him to choose his successor. Where many of us criticize the president and say, no, you should not. It's not the governor that should choose successor. You can choose or influence the choice of your standard bearer, not your successor. So it's a very strong word when you say you are choosing or you allow your governors to choose their successor. And that's what's creating problem in many states, because you give them that leeway to bring whoever will succeed them. So, and you know, we are in for a very bad run. I read in the papers that there is now a Supreme Court judgment that EFCC cannot go after state governors for economic crime, that it is the state attorney general that can prosecute them. The state attorney general that you appointed, the state attorney general that can file a null prosecute to say we are no longer interested in prosecuting this person unless your successor does not like you, like the case of Opus Odima and Rocha Sokorocha. That's when you can see the states trying to,
like also in Rivers State too. Like
the case of
Wike and
Rivers Wike and Rotimi Amechi. So that's where you will likely see when there is an upset and maybe a new government takes over. That's when you now see the Attorney General going to file case against the successor to say we met an empty treasury. But I think that, I don't know, that Supreme Court judgment dampens my morale, because at least we have seen the effort on the part of EFCC to bring to justice some of these emperors in the states who have mismanaged the resources of their respective states. But now that it has been made to be a state affairs, we see how that pans out. But by and large, I still believe that our democracy is a work in progress. We are not where we ought to be, but we are not where we used to be. For that simple reason, I still believe in democracy. I believe in civil rule. Like I said on a platform a couple of days back, for those millennials who never witnessed civil military rule, they will say, oh, we are tired. Let the military even take over. What is it? The military cannot tolerate this swap. They can't tolerate Boko Haram. Now, the one that Abacha looted, are we not still recovering it? How many decades after?
We are still getting a lot.
They say he was a benevolent dictator. So, and that is when, as at the time of military rule, there is nothing like anti-corruption agency, except the police anyway. The police, many people do not know police is also an anti-corruption agency. But, no EFCC, no ICPC. So they were just living large and doing whatever they like with the resources of the states.
Okay, Jide, let's quickly look at citizen participation in democracy. In the last 20-something years, would you say we are progressing in terms of the awareness and the consciousness of citizens in terms of holding government officials to account?
I think so. I belong to the civil society movement, and I believe the civil society has done a lot. The media has done a lot in holding government to account. I think we should not be uncharitable to ourselves, because the media, particularly, is blowing effort of the media. That's why we even Speaker of House of Reps, and even that of the first female Speaker of House of Reps, Mrs. Patricia Ete. It was the media and civil society that said, look, we want women in position of power, but we will not tolerate a woman that wants to spend 625 million to renovate a house that was built with one quarter of that kind of sum. And you know, the media and civil society has also done a lot, apart from in the demand for good governance. Apart from even fighting corruption, the demand for good governance, the proliferation of media has helped a lot.
Okay, Jide, sorry, we need to take this call. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Please, could you speak up?
Yeah, my name is Patrick.
Oh, Pato. Patrick, please go ahead. We are running out of time.
Yeah, Mr. J, good morning.
Morning, sir.
Yeah, I know that June 12th, I know that a good man who won an election, and they need to think it is not time for Nigerians to spend democracy and not election. But my concern here is this. I don't know if Mr. Ide will share the same concern with me. Some people who are behind the annulment of June 12th presidential election, some of them are still alive and they are working freely and enjoying fresh air. But for committing a crime against the people of Nigeria, is it possible to try these people in our court for a crime against the nation? Because it was a crime. The man won an election. Credible news. But they are annoyed is because of what they think that is right on their own side. Not thinking about what is right in our side as citizens of Nigeria during that time. So I don't know if it's like something.
All right, thank you, Patrick.
Well, I think there's no status bar to crime, but you see, there are two judgments: the judgment of God and the judgment of man. We have seen, was it not in Burkina Faso now that Blaise Compaoré has now been convicted for the murder of Thomas Sankara over 20 years ago? You get Sankara died about 1997 or thereabout. So it's not impossible that a government will come to power that will try those who are not June 12. Some of them may even be tried posthumously when they have died. But I think the successive administration have just tried to let sleeping dog lie so that they don't rock the boat, because these people are very powerful. They have followers, they have loyalists, and they just don't want people who create bigger problems for them. So, but like I said, two judgments: the judgment of God and the judgment of man. If they escape the judgment of man, the judgment of God awaits them, because what they did is a crime against humanity.
Okay, Jide, before we go, any lessons learned so far as a nation generally?
I wish we have learned. Unfortunately, our fault lines are widening. You could see any attempt by APC to fill the Muslim ticket, like it happened in June 12, 1993, is now being stoutly resisted, led by Christian Association of Nigeria, that they will not take it, that a party will not fill the Muslim ticket, will not sell for them. And people are now more conscious of their ethnicity, their tribes, their religion, which were those things that did not matter in 1993, where people voted a Yoruba man across the country, where the Yoruba man even defeated the main northern challenger, Bashir Tofa, in Kano. You never will see, or I pray we can see that kind of scenarios reenacting itself. But the fault is with our leaders who find the ember of discord. You know, today every crime is blamed on Fulani men, wrong profiling. We have good Fulani, we have very highly cerebral Fulani who are doing the country proud. But now we use the same brush to taint everybody because of what the activity of some of the harmful of these people does. I don't think that is right. But we hope that this coming election in 2023 will bring about a government that can unite us back and build a nation, because the nation building project is a marathon. It's not a 100 meters dash. But we hope that the next president after Buhari will be able to heal the wounds of the past and unite the country for a better Nigeria.
We sincerely hope that too, but thank you so much, Jidojo. Thank you for sharing your experience. And we hope that our listener and also the millennials have learned one or two from our experience. There are a lot to know about June 12th. It's just going to history. There are a lot of materials available in the media, on Google. A lot of Nigerians have also written a lot about June 12th. So I think Nigerians should also...
And if I may suggest, maybe the home of Abiola in Ikeja should actually be turned to a museum.
Exactly.
Just the same way the Lagos State government did for Fela Anikulapo Kuti, turning his house to a museum. If that could be done, and we thank the President Buhari for recognizing and honoring Abiola. Now we have a national stadium here in Abuja named after him, and Abiola Stadium. But more importantly, we need to imbibe the beautiful legacy of June 12, 1993.
Yeah,
elections.
Okay, thank the home of Abiola off Toyin Street in Ikeja. Yes, I remember. And incidentally,
that national monument.
That's where he was also buried.
Exactly. So that children after children, tourists, it will become a tourist attraction. People can go there and read about the exploits of the symbol of that June 12.
Thank you so much, Jide Ojo, for coming in and for also giving us your perspective and also your experience and memories about June 12. That's the much we can take on today's edition of Insight. We return tomorrow with another interesting edition. My name is Lawrence Omoite. Don't go away as we resume other programmings on Citizen FM 93.7. Coming up next is the news on the hour.